Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. I'm your host, Laura Cavallo, former sugar binger, overeater, and yo-yo dieter turned fat loss and cravings coach for hundreds of busy women. Here at Cravings Control for Fat Loss, I'll be sharing mindset, movement, and metabolism strategies for those who are ready to ditch the fat diet cycle and slim down without counting calories, tracking points, or giving up any of the foods they love. Get ready to embrace progress over perfection, grace over guilt, and bring curiosity and learning to the inevitable ups and downs of your life. Expect a decrease in your cravings while seeing and feeling an improvement in how you look, how you feel, and your overall quality of life. I am so excited you're here, boo. Let's get started. Today's episode is a Reair from December 2022, in which I share a bit about myself, my craving struggles, and how I've become so passionate about helping women with fat loss and lasting cravings control as a result of my own ups and downs. I get a bit vulnerable and honest with what I went through, but I hope that my story can help you connect and understand me more as we go through this journey together. Welcome to another episode of Cravings Control for Fat Loss. My name is Laura Cavallo, your cravings coach. And today I have a little bit of a different episode for you. Today I wanted to share my cravings and fat loss journey with you and kind of how it started as early as my childhood and kind of where I'm at today and what brought me to this point today of being a cravings and fat loss coach for hundreds of busy women around the world. And where we are today, all of us, is a result of our past. And so I feel like it is important to just share a little bit about myself so that you can understand, A, where I've come from, my experience, my knowledge as a professional, but also just, again, help to normalize some of the challenges that we go through as women that have been stuck in the binge-restrict cycle or still are stuck in the binge-restrict, have a splintered relationship with food and exercise, and want to desperately try to create a healthier, more balanced lifestyle for ourselves. So I grew up in Italy. I was born and raised in Milan to a loving mom and dad. And the cool thing about being Italian and living in Europe is that everything is fresh, okay? Everything comes from the garden or from the market that day. Even things that come in a can are really low processed. So this was an awesome way to start out as a kid. But one of the characteristics of being Italian is you tend to overeat. You are usually rubbing your belly at the dinner table, unbuttoning your pants, talking about how good that meal was. So there was definitely a culture of overeating, overindulging, and just simply overdoing it in general. When I was 8 years old, my father passed away, and it caused me and my family to move to the United States to live with my mom's side of the family. And as a kid, I was exposed to a lot more tasty foods, cereals and cookies and breads and all sorts of processed foods. I remember like eating Cheese Whiz out of the can as a kid and, sneaking downstairs and eating cereal at night. And, this sort of new culture that I was exposed to combined with my inclination to constantly overeat really was the perfect storm for so much binging as a child and even into my adult life. So as a kid, I would say I was definitely addicted to sugar. I would snack on like just Italian bread with butter on it and sugar, again, cereal, cookies, cakes. And from an early age, I struggled with digestion. I was never going to the bathroom regularly. I pooped maybe once a week. And this was something that I thought was completely normal. I always had gas. I always had indigestion. And, Italians eat a lot of bread and pasta. We had vegetables and stuff like that, but not nearly as much as what I eat today. And so growing up, I had all of this digestive distress, and it was extremely uncomfortable for me for most of my life. But I just thought like, hey, that's normal. There's no other way around it. But a lot of my binging habits followed me into my late teens and early 20s. When I was 18, I got recruited to play Division I lacrosse at UC Berkeley, which was an incredible experience for me. But a lot of my binging habits sort of trickled into binging alcohol and binging food. And because I was an athlete, I had such a hefty appetite. And so it was like, it worked out in my favor. Like there was a ton of food around at training table, which was like our meals before our games, endless power bars, and all sorts of food available to us as athletes. And on the weekends, we would party and binge drink and have a ton of fun. And it was actually in college that I learned I was lactose intolerant, only because I was so gassy and so bloated. And my teammate was like, maybe you're lactose intolerant. Have you ever thought about that? And I hadn't, because I'd never heard of it. And pretty soon I did realize that I was lactose intolerant. And after college, I moved to Brooklyn. And this is really when I started to get more interested in nutrition and start to understand, like, why do I have these rashes on my body? Why aren't I pooping every day? Why do I have like gut issues? Right. And so it was really just the beginning stages, but I wasn't exercising. I was still binge drinking and binge eating during my time in New York. And it was a really just incredibly unhealthy lifestyle. I was also in a very unhealthy relationship with someone. It was an emotionally and mentally damaging relationship for me. This person wanted me to be more fit, more skinny, made me feel like I wasn't worthy enough. And sort of all of these unhealthy habits were just surrounding me. My relationship with my partner, I was binge drinking, I was doing drugs, I was overeating. And I was also working for an Italian liquor company, which had me tasting wine at sometimes 10 in the morning, right? And a lot of our deals happened over dinner at night. So, if you've ever visited New York or lived in New York, it's an extremely relentless city. It's awesome, but it's extremely relentless. And if you aren't already, this is my thought, if you're not already embedded in the health and fitness community there, it's kind of hard to get going because your social circle isn't really about that. My job wasn't about that. My mindset wasn't on that. It was just easier to be a bit more unhealthy. And it was very loud. I wasn't sleeping well. And my just whole lifestyle was really low quality of life. 2 days before Thanksgiving in 2013, I was actually assaulted on the streets of Brooklyn in broad daylight. And this was really the catalyst for me to say, I need to get my life together. I don't feel safe. I don't feel strong. This city is kind of just eating me alive. So in 2014, I moved to Los Angeles and I became a personal trainer. And I really thought that I was going to find more balance and more health in my life. But despite this desire, my binges and overeating and restriction actually got a lot worse. And despite, being an athlete and thinking like, oh, this person must be fairly healthy, I really wasn't, and even being a trainer in my early years, I still had all of these unhealthy patterns. And part of it was the pressure to look a certain way as a trainer. Part of it was lack of knowledge and understanding that these fad diets like keto and paleo and the swimsuit diet and HIIT training and all of these other sort of quick fix protocols weren't actually going to help me find more balance and find more health. They were actually just ways for me to try and get skinnier, try and lose weight quickly, and try and do something more restrictive to change my body. And at the end of the day, that's all I really wanted. I did want to find more balance, but I also wanted to be more fit and more skinny and kind of keep up with the people that were around me. So I kind of lost sight of myself when I moved to LA, and I was still partying on the weekends and enjoying a new city. And as I went through all of these fad diets, the binge restrict cycle got even worse. So the first diet I did, it's called the body ecology diet. This diet actually helped me. This is what helped me heal my gut. It helped me start pooping daily. And it really just opened up my eyes to like, oh, I could actually feel better with elimination diets. So then I started doing more elimination diets like the clean diet and the swimsuit diet and all of these other diet protocols. And it wasn't until 2016 that I was actually introduced to moderate eating by my now business coach, Jill Coleman. And she was like having wine during the week and chocolate during the week, still getting up and exercising. And she was super fit and a badass businesswoman. And it just planted this thing in my brain that like, is there a way to enjoy the foods you love and still be fit and strong and not have to binge and overindulge? And, this woman showed me that, yeah, in fact, there is. But at this time, I was so desperate for fat loss results and to be skinny that I was, Monday through Friday doing HIIT training, exercising every day. Blueberries counted as carbs. And I was restricting. Then at night, I was eating almost whole jars of almond butter. I was eating whole bars of chocolate. I was trying so hard to restrict my calories at night, mostly because I had undereaten throughout the day, but I was also seeing these foods as off-limit foods and like they were bad. And so also the HIIT training was increasing my cravings and increasing my hunger. And I was also on birth control at that time. That was kind of making things a little bit harder for me hormonally. So I was in this cycle Monday through Friday, during the day, super strict, binging at night, and then weekends I would have free-for-alls. Start drinking on Friday, Saturday night, feel guilty all weekend, self-sabotage with all the food, and then I would start again on Monday. And this cycle went on for 5 years. I hated how my body looked. I felt so ashamed and so guilty about my actions and what I was doing. I didn't really share with anyone that I was binging. I thought honestly I was a freak and that something was wrong with me and that I would be stuck doing this forever. And the binges got worse around my period. So I would actually joke that I had 2 good weeks a month because the week leading up to my period, all hell broke loose. The week of my period, I didn't really exercise because I was like, I don't feel good, you know? And then the other 2 weeks was when I would hit it hard. So then I calculated that I had about 10 good days per month to try and lose weight and try and get skinny because the weekends I was out binge drinking and having fun. As you can imagine, this was like such a torturous place to be. I hated my life. I hated how my body looked. I hated myself. I felt unworthy. I felt like something was wrong with me. I was constantly weighing myself, measuring myself. It was always a challenge to find clothes that fit around my stomach and around my butt. I was constantly comparing myself to other women around Los Angeles and other trainers and constantly asking them what they were eating or what they were doing, constantly taking my body fat percentage at Equinox with this little machine, doing it weekly and obsessing about it and never seeing changes. And it was just a really desperate and sad place to be. And in 2017, I actually binged a whole bag of cowboy bark. It was right around my birthday or around my period. And cowboy bark is this like dark chocolate, pretzel-y, caramelly dessert thing from Trader Joe's, which they discontinued. And I'm super pissed about it because I'd like to actually have some now and not binge the whole bag. But I had binged this whole bag in like 2 hours. It was like 1,200 calories. And I was literally moving on to a box of cereal. And I was like, time for cereal now. And I stopped in my tracks and was like, Laura, how are you not full right now? It almost felt like there was like a Jekyll and Hyde inside of me, like this, I say this freak, but I really felt like a freak in that moment. Just like, what is literally wrong with you? And I had kind of an aha moment, like something is going on with my hormones. My hormones are raging. So I got my hormones tested. Of course, the doctor said everything was fine. And then throughout more of my research and reading, I came into contact with this book called Woman Code by Alyssa Vitti, and it completely changed my life. It showed me how much our hormones impact our cravings, our hunger, our mood, our energy, our skin, our sleep cycle, our period, our sex drive. And I was like floored. I was like, oh my God, hormones. So then I started looking into becoming an endocrinologist and becoming a naturopathic doctor. And I really wanted to change my path of my career, but you know, that's another story for another time. So during this journey, I got really inspired because I realized my cravings had a reason. There was a root cause for why my cravings were happening. And the hormonal aspect was just part of it for me, but I found so much relief and I found so much happiness and inspiration. I'm going to like start crying right now because like I just remember being like, oh my God, nothing is wrong with me. Like there is a reason why I'm craving and binging and there is an end in sight. And I just remember that moment just being so happy that I didn't have to live like that for the rest of my life. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that, guys. So during this time, I started doing more research. I started researching more on nutrition, became a nutrition coach. I started studying more on the hormone side. I looked into Jade Tita's course, The Metabolic Female. I started researching health coaching mindset certification. And that was between like 2017 and 2020, sort of all of this stuff started happening. All of this education started happening, and I started informing myself more. And I started understanding how my childhood relationship impacted my cravings, and how hormones impacted cravings, and how sleep and stress impact cravings, and how exercise impacts cravings. And then I started sharing some of these changes and shifts and strategies with my clients. And I found that the same clients that were telling me, you know, they were binging wine and cheese on the weekends started having more balance and less binges and better fat loss results. And so between 2020 and today, that's really when the S.L.I.M system for fat loss and cravings control was developed. And S.L.I.M stands for Satisful Nutrition, Lifestyle Optimization, Intentional Movement, and Mindset and Awareness. And these are really the pillars that make up our cravings control and fat loss system. And these have been strategies that I've been testing and perfecting and trying as a result of my education, my experience, my studies, not only with myself, but also with my clients. And so in 2021, we helped over 12 women shed 75 inches using our S.L.I.M system. And it's just been so inspiring to see women have a new lease on life and shed the old thought patterns and shed the old all or nothing thinking and just find more freedom in diet and find more happiness within themselves, right? Like, why do we have to go through life hating our bodies? Why do we have to go through life wanting to be smaller, right? Like, why can't we empower our bodies and celebrate our bodies and build strength from the inside out and still feel fit and athletic and like a fucking badass, right? And so our mission at Laura Cavallo Coaching is to help women feel empowered, feel strong, to be more courageous and get more curious about their bodies. And everything that I've been through has brought me to this point here, helping you, educating you, hopefully inspiring you that there is a different way to live and that it doesn't have to feel like torture. You don't have to hate your body throughout the whole process. And there's other women that have been successful and also want to take that journey with you. So the last 3 years have been an incredible journey of starting Laura Cavallo Coaching, being fully online, and impacting more women all across the globe. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening. I hope that my story inspired you and also shows you that there is a healthier and happier way to live. I would love to know your story. I would love to know your struggles and your challenges and what you're going through. Please feel free to send me a message on Instagram. And I'm not just saying this, like, please reach out. I want to know what you're going through and how I can help you and what strategies and what programs I can create to support you in your journey to help you be more successful and get you the results that you want. So hit me up on Instagram. My handle is Laura Cavallo __ cravings _ coach. And I can't wait to hear from you, boo. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, it would mean so much to me if you took less than 2 minutes to give us 5 stars and submit a quick review. Your feedback helps other women who are looking for help with their cravings and fat loss goals find us more easily and benefit from the free content we share. Thank you so much. It truly means a lot.